So there must be a small, tiny percentage of motorbikeling deaths where all his friends actually say, well, that's actually, he went out the way he wanted to go out at 160 mile an hour on a Welsh A road off a mountain. Basically, by reducing the speed limit to 20 mile an hour, everyone has got more stressed, and stress is a killer. So the 20 mile an hour speed limit that was meant to save lives and help the NHS is actually going to do the opposite. Good afternoon. 20 mile an hour zones, Wales, the Wirral, your house. This has been sent to me. Hi Geoff, did you know about this? 20 mile an hour zone everywhere in the Wirral. Here we have another consultation. It's half hidden, it's full of loaded questions, and it was only open for a tiny window of time. Did you even know about this? The 20 mile an hour zone all across the Wirral map there. Only 2 days after it closed, Geoff, did I find out about the consultation about 20 mile an hour everywhere. We knew something was up because of all the signs and painting on the road. Their map, which was buried in a website where even the most devoted fan would have to hunt it down, shows, among other things, that only 2 streets would be exempt, one of which is the M53 Spur. The other is an industrial monster in Birkenhead. Why? Well, we've seen all this before, haven't we? Bit of a script for this one. Let's roll with it, because it gets good. I got digging into the website on all this Wirral 20 mile an hour stuff, and I found out a few things that amused me. Okay, there's a number of different websites that they've set up on this Wirral 20 mile an hour thing, and in one of them you can apply to be a 20 mile an hour champion. Okay, now a 20 mile an hour champion is an advocate for the 20 mile an hour schemes, and if you are one of those, you submit your details and you get a wheelie bin sticker, some posters, and even a car sticker. I guess the car sticker says something like, I am for 20 mile an hour speed limits. And I've got in my script, if you really want to make your window, wheelie bin or car a direct target for vandalism, I guess that's on you. Would your car insurance go up if you had like a very provocative, and I mean provocative in the traditional sense of the word, not like a little bit sexy. If you've got a window sticker on your car that literally provokes vandalism, does your car insurance go up? Anyway, after I had a good laugh at that, and at the sort of people who would apply to become a 20 mile an hour champion, I got into the frequently asked questions. This is on haveyoursay.wirral.gov.uk. hub-page-20 mile an hour scheme, if you're interested. Do 20 mile an hour limits work? They say. National evidence has shown that sign-only 20 mile an hour speed limits can help to reduce average speeds and improve safety. National evidence shows they work. Evidence, they say, from a pilot scheme in Bristol showed that the number of people walking and cycling increased and the average speed of vehicles decreased. A rollout of 20 mile an hour limits in the Wirral has an important step in changing the attitudes of drivers and making our communities safer for all. Okay, changing attitudes is one of those scary terms that keeps coming up in all of this weird new worldy order stuff that is going around at the moment, whether it's speed limits or ULEZ or 15-minute neighbourhoods or low traffic zones. Changing attitudes. It's just one of those buzzwords that sort of strikes fear into my freedom-loving heart, and I've said that before as well. It supports, listen to this, the Liverpool City Region Road Safety Strategy for Vision Zero. The Liverpool City Region Road Safety Strategy for Vision Zero. I bet if I go digging down that rabbit hole, I find a whole lot of other stuff that connects this to Sadiq Khan, ULEZ and C40 cities, don't I? But I've not done that yet, but I will. Then I've written, well, this is balls, because I found this article too. So, the Wirral website claiming that 20 mile an hour limits work. Let's look at this one. This is another article. Welsh town that was pilot for 20 mile an hour speed limit says, we told you so, as petition signatures climb. This is from a Wales Online article. 18 months ago, long before the law was put into place across the nation, the town of Buckley in Flintshire, Flintshire, North Wales, was picked out to try the 20-mile-an-hour speed limit in March 2022. One of 8 guinea pig towns, great thing for your town to be called, Buckley residents soon decided that the lower speed limit, which aimed to save lives, was causing more problems than it fixed. And I'm not going to read you the whole article. I've got 3 or 4 things to bullet point summarise from it. The new speed limit was frustrating and dangerous. In recent days, we've noticed a lot more dangerous driving, near misses and a few accidents. We've got the cars now going the same speed as the bicycles and, believe it or not, some of the runners, fast runners. A local bus driver, who asked to be anonymous, said, "We've lost endless hours in either buses having to be dropped from service or running severely late, costing the company a huge wage bill after having to pay bus drivers overtime for finishing late. This is only the first week of this 20 mile an hour, so I imagine things will get worse." And obviously financially and your fuel economy and all that sort of stuff as well. Another comment, "Fancy trying to get people out of their cars without the infrastructure to allow people to make the changes they're aiming for." Great point. Maybe they should have gone down the 25 mile an hour route instead. I think the public may be more on board with this one. So let's talk about the motivations here, because that last comment has noted that person's recognised that the goal is to get people out of their cars, but that is just a conspiracy theory. So let's leave that alone for the moment. Let's park that over there, but not in that parking bay that has been removed to put some planters in, and not in the parking bay that is more expensive because it's an older car and it pollutes more. Another conversation for another day. Let's get into the meat of the video, right? These 20 mile an hour zones are to make everybody safer and to cut down on road deaths. So let's take a look at those. For this part of the video, I'm using Statistics for Wales' own report titled "Reported Road Casualties Wales 2020. Notwithstanding the fact that 2020 was a corona year and road casualties were down slightly that year, but it doesn't matter for what we say next. Fact is, road deaths in Wales have been on a steady and quite dramatic decline since the 1970s, and in this report from 2020 it's found that 23% of the killed or seriously injured statistics are actually motorbikelists. Okay, so a quarter of all of the statistics, a quarter of all the deaths that the 20 mile an hour limits are trying to prevent are motorbikers, motorcyclists. I don't want to be disingenuous here, but if you want to rock around with an engine strapped between your legs on the busiest roads we've ever seen, when everyone is either using a mobile phone or messing with a 16-inch touch screen in the car, then that's kind of on you. If these motorbikelists aren't being wiped out by mobile phone wielding, touchscreen touching drivers, then they're possibly doing themselves over on some of Wales's superb driving roads. And to quote the late great Hunter S. Thompson, that's not a bad way to go out. He famously said in his Ducati Supersport review, "Being shot out of a cannon will always be better than being squeezed out of a tube." So there must be a small, tiny percentage of motorbiking deaths where all his friends actually say, "Well, that's actually, he went out the way he wanted to go out at 160 mile an hour on a Welsh A road off a mountain." All jokes and dark humour aside, the report states that 195 motorbikelists were killed or seriously injured in 20 mile an hour and 30 mile an hour zones, compared with 214 in 40, 50, 60 and 70 mile an hour limits. So there's less motorbikelists dying in 20 and 30 than there are on faster roads. Again, this has been a downward trend, but 81% of these motorbike casualties take place in daylight, and if you dig further into the numbers, most of these bikelists are male between 16 and 44 and riding in daylight and on a Sunday. So the data shows that most of the road deaths in Wales statistically are likely to be someone on a motorbike on a Sunday in daylight. So I spent about an hour digging into the report, and I read various comments on various other newspaper reports of casualties in the Wirral and Wales, and I did feel like I learnt quite a lot. In fact, I learnt so much this afternoon that I am now ready to come up with some better suggestions than an ironclad decrease in the speed limit to impact an entire nation and its economy. So let's carry on for the minute. The report also finds that 72% of the killed or seriously injured statistics, remember, those are the people that we're trying to save with these 20-mile-an-hour speed limits, 72% of them are men. The other groups of humans that are most likely to become part of the killed or seriously injured group of people that we're trying to save by introducing 20-mile-an-hour speed limits are as follows. Young people, aged 16 to 24, both as pedestrians and in the cars. Pedestrians aged 0 to 16 and 16 to 24, and then pensioners, and cyclists, not motorbikelists, we've done that, but especially aged 16 to 24. In 2020, motorcyclists were 17 times more likely than car and taxi occupants to be casualties, whilst pedal cyclists were 9 times more likely. Well, that could be down to the fact that car drivers and passengers are sat on a seat wearing a seat belt in a metal and plastic box. Like this. I could run down as many motorbikelists as I like and I'll probably be okay. Cyclists too. Anyway, getting back to the main point here, Wales has introduced 20-mile-an-hour speed limits across the country, and as we've seen, the Wirral and many other areas are following suit. But what alternatives could we have done by digesting the data just a little bit? What alternatives are there to blanket 20-mile-an-hour speed limits if we want to slow down and decrease the number of people who are killed and seriously injured based on the data? Wonder what my conclusions are going to be after this one. For starters, how about education? Some proper education for people. If we want to lower the number of people who are killed and seriously injured, we should start with the type of people who are killed and seriously injured. So let's do this. Statistically speaking, these people are either or any combination of the following: on a motorbike, or well, off it, actually. That's dark humour, isn't it? That is dark humour. So, the people who are most likely to be killed or seriously injured are on a motorbike, or somewhere near it on the floor, a pedestrian aged under 24, or of pension age, or a cyclist aged 16 to 24. Let's just clarify. The people that we're trying to save are motorbikelists, pedestrians under 24 or pensioners, and cyclists. Basically all of them, but mostly 16 to 24. So, speed is not a speed issue. It's an education issue. We need to educate motorcyclists about themselves, each other, and other road users. We need to educate road users about motorcyclists. We need to educate pedestrians about everything. And we need to educate cyclists about everything. And most importantly, we need to educate drivers about motorbikes, bicycles, and humans. So, instead of just whacking a blanket 20-mile-an-hour speed limit across places, let's do this. Let's go into schools, and instead of pushing woke transgender, it's okay to not want your willy crap, let's educate children and teenagers on the basic principles of road safety. Let's go into colleges. Let's teach teenagers about being safe around the roads as pedestrians. Back to basics, basically. Let's work harder to teach awareness of dangerous and reckless driving. And I think personally, let's empower young girls and young boys, but mostly young girls, to not get into the car in certain situations. Getting a little bit off topic here, but not so much. How often do we read in the news that there's been 3 or 4 teenagers killed in a crash? Now, I know we can't stop teenagers from driving too fast and turning a car onto its roof, but maybe we could stop their friends from climbing in the car with them. Also, when I was young, when I put my Fiesta on its roof, it was 90 horsepower. These days, the kids are more likely to be driving 200 horsepower plus Mercedes A-classes on lease deals. So the kind of cars that people are driving these days are very different. At the same time, let's look at how we teach people to drive, and let's help people to better understand the behaviour of pedestrians, motorcyclists and cyclists, because those are the groups that are more likely to get killed. We need to ask if we're doing enough to stop children from running out into the road. You can't stop all of that. But clearly, the car itself isn't the problem. But the perception of people inside and outside the car is. On that note, let's go further with the mobile phone and screens thing. 16-inch touchscreen. You shouldn't have to navigate between different menus to change the heat settings on your car. And I know I keep banging on about it. I'm in another old Volvo, but I know full well I can drive this car and I can adjust how hot the air is, where the air is going, and how fast the air is going without taking my eyes off the road. On a modern car, I probably need to navigate between 3 different screens, select 25 different settings, notwithstanding the fact that it's a touchscreen, and I'll probably hit the wrong button at some point and accidentally put Radio 2 on. And I absolutely don't want to be listening to Jeremy Vine at any point. So, as I've said in lots of my older Geoff videos, give me a big knob. There's nothing wrong with a big knob. And to be honest, society has changed that much since I first started saying that in my Geoff videos. It's more acceptable for me to want a big knob than ever. Lastly, and forgive me if this sounds a little bit like tree-hugging hippie crap, but as we just lost one of the most important trees in the country last night in the small hours, I feel like it's okay to be a tree lover. But here's a novel idea that seems to have gone out the window a long time ago. Why don't we all try to be nice to each other? Most of the reports and comments that are coming out of this 20-mile-an-hour speed limit thing are full of anger and frustration and fear. The pensioners who are scared of going over 20 mile an hour, so they drive at 16 mile an hour, and then the drivers behind get angry and frustrated, and then they're concentrating less, and then there's tailgating and road rage and or an accident. Maybe all of the above. Basically, by reducing the speed limit to 20 mile an hour, everyone has got more stressed, and stress is a killer. So, the 20 mile an hour speed limit that was meant to save lives and help the NHS is actually going to do the opposite, because everyone's stressed and having heart attacks. I mean, there's a lot of people having heart attacks at the moment anyway, but that's a video for another day. So, why don't we try being nice to each other? And it should start with the government and governmental policy that's actually nice to people. So, what if we had a government or party that looked at their policies and looked at their constituencies and for once said, hang on, what changes can we make that will make life easier and happier and less stressful for the people that live here? Have they ever done that? Ever? I can't remember any government policy that was based on people becoming more happy. It's the old thing about bullying, right? If a person is being bullied, then they quite often turn into a bully. What we have at the minute is a society, and I'm talking nationwide and probably worldwide here, where everyone is so highly strung and under so much pressure, feeling so much stress, that it would be easy to sit in your metal box on wheels, feeling like everything you have to do in a day is more important than anyone else and what they have to do, that you are the centre of your own universe. Then we have a traffic jam full of self-centred, self-focused individuals who are all essentially trying to achieve the same thing, but on their own and individually. If we started with the basics and adjusted education to say, hey, let's make a society that's nice for people, that way the people might be nicer to each other, and we could probably make a genuine, real difference there. We could educate the kids to be careful near the roads. We could educate the teenagers to be careful on the roads. We could educate the drivers to be careful of other drivers on the road. Educate everyone about motorbikelists. Educate motorbikelists about everyone. And educate everyone about everyone else with respect. So it seems we don't actually have a problem with speed as such, but we do have a problem with a lack of education and too many uncaring government policies that aren't designed to make our life easier, but are designed to increase levels of stress. 20 mile an hour speed limits are great around schools and in heavily residential areas. More so if it's a 20 mile an hour speed limit that's only in place during school hours and school kick-out times. That's great. 20 mile an hour speed limits are not great as a blanket policy for an entire nation. That's mental. Yes, it slows everyone down, but it also creates more pollution, more costs for both individuals and businesses, and I guess more important of all is the cost of time, because you don't get that back. The data doesn't show us anything about the difference between 30 mile an hour and 20 mile an hour, but it does show us who is most likely to be killed or seriously injured on our roads. The case studies have found that it doesn't work. All the people in the comments have found that it doesn't work. And as I write this, 44,414 people have signed a petition to say that it doesn't work. Actually, it took me so long to get this script written and filmed that when I actually edited the video, the number on the petition was now that much. So, imposing a blanket 20 mile an hour speed limit isn't the answer. And to me, all of this was pretty obvious. And I'm just a dude who owns an iPhone and has an internet connection and makes videos in his car. So if it's really obvious to me that what we need are policies designed to be kinder to humans, to take into account the real needs of humans whilst trying to care for humans, then why are we constantly bombarded with policies that seem to do the exact opposite? What agenda could these politicians possibly be following if they are normal human beings that keep enacting actions that are harsh, unkind, or downright unfair to other normal human beings? They are bullies and they are bullying us. If a consultation is kept secret, if the people are ignored, if the outcry is silenced, then what next? And I'm genuinely, honestly not sure. But I think history has shown us time and time again what happens if the people keep letting the authorities get away with acts that just don't seem to stack up. I highly doubt that Wales will withdraw the 20 mile an hour speed limit. And I'm 100% confident that 20 mile an hour speed limits are coming to your hometown, along with low emission zones and pay by the mile road charging. And if I'm right about that, then I think we can safely say that this was never about road safety. It was only ever about either money or control, or both. But that definitely is not good. So for my final question, is it honestly too much to ask to be governed by people that actually care for the well-being of the humans within their constituencies? Because if that is too much to ask, then I don't think we should consent to being governed by them at all. Do you? Thanks very much for watching. All the links to everything that I've discussed are in the comments. It's a joke. It's a joke. I really enjoyed looking at all those statistics because it becomes just so obvious who is being seriously killed. No, it became very obvious who is being seriously killed and deadly injured in all of these collisions. It's the groups that I just discussed. It's got nothing to do with 20 or 30 mile an hour speed limits and everything to do with better education, more awareness and more respect for each other. You tree-hugging hippie. My tea's gone cold, and that's a sign that my video was too long. Thank you for watching.